I'm Mary Abernathy, and I'd like to share with you today how to make a vaginal cerclage model. First of all, what I'd like to go through is the equipment you will need. After that, we'll go through how you assemble the actual model, and then last we'll go through using the model with a resident to try to teach them how to do this model. Okay? So first of all, the equipment that you'll need. You'll need a PVC pipe with a closet flange, or basically something to hold the model upright. This will serve as your vagina. In this model, the diameter inside here, which is serves as the vagina, in this smaller one is approximately 2 3/4. For your more novice learner, this one is a little bit larger, which is about 3 3/4 internal diameter. Also, you will need pipe insulation. You can get this at most any hardware store. You'll cut off an approximately 4 to 5 inch segment of this pipe insulation, which will serve as your cervix. The next thing you'll use is a small 9-inch balloon. You can fill it up with either air or approximately 10 to 20 cc's of fluid. I also use foam tape. You can get either the 3-inch or the foam tape, 3-inch or 4-inch foam tape from your labor and delivery usually. For this model, I prefer to use knee-high hose. We'll actually cut off the foot or the toe ends of the knee-high hose and use that to simulate our skin in our model. The final thing you'll need is a bulb syringe. You can get these on most nursery units. It's just basically an ear and ulcer syringe that you'll use. So now I'd like to show you how to assemble this model. So first of all, you take an approximately 4-inch segment of the pipe insulation. You take your knee-high hose, which you've already kind of cut the toe off of, and you gently insert that through the middle of that. And then you open up the hose and tape the hose down on one end, kind of in a circumferential fashion. And again, here I just use the foam tape for this model. Following that, I insert the balloon, just so the tied off end of the balloon is just tucked in there. And then we're going to insert the bulb syringe in there as well. So this will serve as the cervix, this will serve as the bladder, and this will become part of the uterus that actually holds the simulation model inside the PVC pipe. So following this, I'm going to cover and attach these with some foam tape. Just so it stays attached. So this again will be the bladder. This will become part of the uterus that holds the cervix inside the model, and this black foam insulation is the actual cervix. When it's finished, it will look something like this. This model actually has a little bit of material wrapped around it in order to snugly hold the cervix in place inside the PVC pipe. So what we'll do now is actually use some batting or foam tape. The batting I use to, again, create distance. I use it to create a thickened part of the uterus to actually hold the cervix in the correct position inside the pipe. And following this, and again, you just constantly are using this to make it even thicker so that it will be held snugly within the pipe. Following this, you'll put a piece of tape there, And then we will gently put this back over this. Such that now we've created a cervix, bladder, and then we have some material matting back here to simulate the uterus that will actually hold the cervix correctly within the pipe. So I'm going to push that as much as I can in there, because then what we're going to do once you get that snugly in, inside there we're going to actually tie a knot into the end of this to kind of keep everything snug and tight in there. And then what you will do is actually turn this inside out, and this will be what holds the actual cervix in place in this model. So if you've created your cervix a little long, you can go back and trim it off. But basically this will be the model that you'll strive for. This is actually a little bit longer. What I'll probably do is go back in and trim this off a little bit. And you can also tape this down using more of your foam tape to keep that in place. So that's how you assemble this model. Actually, then you can use this to show a novice learner how to do a McDonald vaginal cerclage. And that's the next thing we're going to do.
For this model, we will use a ring forceps, suture, and a curved needle driver. Begin by placing the ring forceps on the anterior lip of the cervix. A suture is then used to go from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock on the cervix, penetrating through the cervical stroma, not into the cervical canal. Subsequent bites are then taken in a purse string fashion from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and 3 o'clock back to 12 o'clock. Each time taking deep bites into the cervical stroma and avoiding the cervical canal. Typically, these bites would be taken at the level of the junction of the vaginal mucosa and the cervix. The ring forceps may be moved throughout the procedure to improve visualization. Once the two ends have met at 12 o'clock, the knot is tied at this position. Typically, a non-absorbable suture such as Merceline tape or a delayed absorbable suture such as Prolene are used for this procedure. Once the knot is tied and the suture cut, a cervical exam may be performed to ensure no suture is inside the cervical canal and that the canal is tightly closed. This concludes the vaginal McDonald cerclage.